which is kind of true. I mean, look at her. Look at him. Look at all of them. They don't know what they have inside of them.
Pretending you can't hear. That's like your thing, am I right?
They're just sleepwalking through life, wondering when something amazing is gonna happen. That's where I come in. Because they don't know it yet. But these kids are the key. And I'm gonna show them how to unlock some doors. Whether they like it or not.
What the heck is that thing?
I have no idea! I was just walking home and then it came out of nowhere!
Or we might all get killed.
Everybody will die.
Get ready, world. Here I come. It takes an idiot to do cool things. And that's why it's cool.
Yes!
All right, you guys, who is ready to talk about Fooly Cooly? Please welcome to the stage, Jason DeMarco! Maki Terashima-Furuta! Mitsuhisa Ishikawa! And last but not least, Kari Wahlgren! You guys, yeah, go ahead and have a seat. You guys, welcome to Chicago.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And who knew, almost, I guess, 18 years later, you guys would be reviving Fooly Cooly. Jason, why was the time right now?
Well, the time's always been right, but we had been talking to Ishikawa for many years. Mike Lazo, who runs Adult Swim, is a massive fan of the original, and it was one of the first ideas he had about us getting into doing more originals. So we had actually been trying to get it made for a decade.
Wow, and how did Adult Swim influence bringing it over to America?
So I arm wrestled with this guy, and I won, and that was it. It was actually a multi-year process, but basically we just, for us, it was a matter of going to Japan many times, meeting with Production IG, letting them know how serious we were about doing justice to the original if it was even going to be attempted, and convincing them of our sincerity and our willingness to let them have total artistic freedom.
And Maki, how, in that process, how was that for you, and what components of the original production team came back for these next 2 seasons?
So it's a long process to finally get this going, and we had a really difficult time trying to find the right creators to do the sequel for it, because everybody was expecting something super amazing, and again, to the creators, that's a lot of pressure, but we were finally able to get the right people. And in terms of what kind of, who are involved in this new show that were involved in the previous one is definitely the original director, Tsurumaki. He's involved in this as a supervisor, and then the character designer Sadamoto, he's also involved in this as a character designer, and the music is the Pillows.
Yay! That was one of my questions. Yay!
Yeah, so we're very excited about that.
And Kari, what was it like for you to revisit, a character you'd put to rest?
Oh, it's been really surreal because I had just moved out to Los Angeles, and it was the very, very first voiceover job that I got. So I was working as a receptionist in an office during certain daytime hours and then going and recording this project, and had no idea it was going to be such a popular thing. And all these years later, it's still like my most popular character. And over the years, people would say like, oh, are they going to make a sequel? And I'd say 10 years have gone by, 12 years have gone by. It's not going to happen. And here we are. So it's really surreal.
And how has the character evolved over the time between season 1 and now 2 and 3?
There's definitely kind of a mentor feeling even more, which is kind of cool because, I'm older and hopefully a little wiser at this point. So it's kind of cool. Like, I feel like the character has kind of grown up a little bit, and so have I. So it's neat.
And will you have needed to watch season 1 to understand these next 2 seasons, or can someone jump in at this point and still fully enjoy the show?
I can speak Japanese. いや旧作見なくても十分いけますけど、旧作見た方がもっと面白いと思います。
So for this new seasons, it's understandable and it's enjoyable even if you haven't watched the original Furikuri. But if you had watched the original Furikuri, it's more fun.
And what other characters are returning? A lot?
今回旧作の1年に出てきた、何人かの生徒がいるんですけど、その生徒が大人になって結婚してその子供が出てきます。
It's going to be a spoiler, but in the original Furikuri, there are some students that in the sequel got married, and I know. Like, I'm only giving you guys like little information, so don't expect
You
anything
can trust
from
them.
Yeah.
They won't say anything,
Yeah.
right?
But yeah, so they grow up and they get married, and they're in this season.
That's good. That's a good little tidbit, right, guys? So
And of
Maki-
course, Haruko, of course, she's coming back
I'm coming back.
Of course. Well, we figured
in
that.
both season 2 and 3.
And how over, the time that's elapsed since season 1, how technology has evolved quite a bit. And so how has the process of making the anime changed over the years?
そうですね。まず旧作のスタッフって結構年を取ったんですね。年をちょっと15年18年取り過ぎたんで、まず若いスタッフ、それを振りくりを見てきたその面白いと思うスタッフ、まず年が若くなったっていう、それが一番技術以上に大きいです。
So what's more important than technological aspect is that the original creators and the original animators that were involved in the first Furikuri, they've gotten older. I mean, it's been 15 years, 18 years, so they are actually much older than back then. So we needed to get the new people, new creators, the creators of the new generation is what we are calling.
それとフルクリーン化技術に関してはフル CG が出てきたのでどんどん技術は進歩してるんだけど、ただ一つ問題があって、すごくファンのためにいいものを作りたいって思ってすごく情熱で作ってるんですけど、スケジュールを守らない、これが一番の問題だって。
So another technically the CGI and the 3D technology has advanced so much further than compared to 15 years ago. So that's making our production a little bit easier. But the problem is that we're having to deal with the actual people, the creators. They're very selfish and they're always behind schedule. So that's like one of the biggest challenges that we've been facing to this day.
And Maki, will you ask, is that the most difficult part of the production process?
そうですね。今回もですね、このイベントがなければ1話は上がってないかもしれない。
So we have to actually thank all of you guys in C2E2 because had it not been for this event, we would still been working on episode 1.
That's true.
So thank you guys. And we want to invite you guys to ask questions of your own. You can come up into the aisles, and there's going to be mics on each side. And of course, we'll try to, as always, get through as many as we can. If you're ready, we can start over here. Go ahead. Hi.
Chicago. The director, commentary for the first season pointed out how very much random ideas were just thrust into the show. Even the fact that there was a robot with a TV for a head was because somebody had a drawing on that for their desk and was always trying to work it in, and you said, why not this one? How do you get a structured narrative with a theme from randomness that can be continued on into like a growing series?
That's a really good question. And we could even add in how much actually is randomness or how much just appears to be randomness. And Jason, you can kick us off.
No, he's about ready. Everything
Okay.
takes
あの
longer
で
to
す
say
ね
in Japanese.
この答えはですね、ジェイソンからぜひ聞きたい。
So regarding this question, he wants to hear from Jason.
All that, you made her explain it though. To answer your question, I think that this actually was it's been a very difficult production. It's been very hard to live up to what we feel the quality of the original Fulikuli was, and we knew what was at stake, and everybody on the project was aware that we couldn't give it anything less than 110% if we even hoped to come close to the original. So because of that, there was actually natural chaos that you might not have had in another show production. And there actually are several elements that are like what you're talking about, that are random things that we didn't plan on in the beginning that ended up in the show that I think are for the better. But it was mostly because we were tearing our hair out trying to figure out how to do a good job.
Thank you. And Kari, from a voice artist perspective, from the acting perspective, would you ever get a script? Are you ever, first of all, is there room for improvisation at all? And second of all, do you ever think, now how did they connect these dots and what is going on here and how am I going to bring life to this?
Well, since FLCL was the very first show that I ever worked on, I didn't really have any kind of preconceived ideas about what the character was or you know what we were supposed to be doing. So I think in a way that kind of helped because I just went in with such an open mind, and you know there'd be one scene and you know she'd be really sweet and tender, and another scene she's screaming and bashing his head with a guitar. So I'm like, okay, you know, it's just you kind of roll with it. And I think there's kind of that same attitude with these seasons, 2 and 3. We're not recording it all in order, so there is kind of a feeling of just kind of bopping around and doing things out of context. And but the exciting thing is, I think with so many different cartoons, you kind of have an idea of where it's going. So you can kind of think 3 steps ahead of, oh, this is going to happen in the next scene, or oh, they're going to end up together. And with FLCL, you never know. So from the voice acting perspective, it's constantly fresh and exciting because I do not know what's going to happen next. And we don't get the scripts in advance, so you're experiencing it in a very, very immediate way in the studio, which is cool. There's been the nicest, tiniest little bit of wiggle room with certain parts of this recording process where they will say, go ahead and do your spin on this. Because we try to stay very, very, very faithful and respectful to the original Japanese. But there have been a couple of moments where they're like, you know, we kind of want you to be able to play around with this and do a little something with it. So it's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
And is that new for these 2 seasons versus season 1?
Yes.
Okay, well that's nice.
Yeah.
If I could just add to that, is Kari's just been wonderful. I mean, it's been what, like more than 10 years that since we worked together on the original Furikuri, right? And then as soon as she came into the booth and she started doing Haruko, like all these memories came back, and then at the same time, like she was giving us such inspiration as to like how Haruko should sound, because like for these new 2 seasons, we're still trying to figure out like, you know, how much of a change Haruko has since the original one. So like we're having her try different takes and multiple takes, and sometimes she has to do, you know, voice acting to pencil sketches because, again, the production is very delayed. But she's been really wonderful because it gives us inspirations to change the script because, you know, we would ask her, like, how would you do it? How would you read it as Haruko? And then she would give us suggestions, and we're like, oh, yeah, let's go with that. So it's a pleasure working with her.
That seems like a really collaborative team. Yeah. Hi.
I'm William. I'm from Pawpaw. And my question is, FLCL, like the first season, is known for being random and nonsensical. And so as these new seasons are being created, and the fans kind of are expecting the unexpected, so how do you kind of account for that when coming up with the new narrative?
How do you create randomness, in other words, right?
グッドクエスチョン。スタッフもびっくりしたんですけど、脚本を作って話を作ってて、普通は脚本がベースになって作るんですけど、今回脚本の面白いをより根底、あと作画でもっと面白いアイデアが出たらどんどんそこに変えていくっていうね。まあこれがまあ振りくりで、まあこの作品の魂じゃないかな。ただスケジュールを守らないってこれは問題だ。
So it actually even surprises our own staff too, because usually animation is based on the script, but we would have the script and then like it gets changed because we have all these new different ideas that our creators think would be better for the sequels. So the storyboard changes, and then from then on, the animators would come up with better ideas, and then they'll change. So like, now the final animation is very different from the original script. I mean, original script meaning the script for these sequels. So, but again, like the biggest challenge to that is we're very behind schedule.
Maki, how many rewrites might a script go through based on what I'm hearing?
いや一応ベースは全部3回。いやもう5個ぐらいかな。
Probably like 5 or 6.
Okay. Thank you. Great question. Hi.
Hi. Hi, my name is Mike Hill here in Chicago. I wanted to ask about how the April Fool's joke last weekend with airing Fully Cooley Alternative, that's season 3, how did that come about?
That came about because Mike Lazo always felt it was a cool idea that at some point on Toonami we should try airing everything in Japanese with English subtitles. Even though we knew that it would probably not get great ratings, we just thought it would be a fun stunt. So he actually came up with the idea of doing that on April Fool's, and he knew right from the beginning that he wanted to kick it off by sneak premiering the first episode of Fully Cooley. Unfortunately, Progressive wasn't ready. So we had to show Alternative, which for us is fine either way. We wanted to give people a nice surprise and a taste of what the seasons are going to be doing and how they're going to be different from Fully Cooley, in the hopes that people get excited about them.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, I'm Logan from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I wanted to start by saying thank you to the whole team. This show is very special to me. I grew up with it, and I'm sure a lot of people here did. And I'm really excited to see, after all this time, a new season. I'm also really excited, probably even more so, that people that age are going to get something new, that they're going to get to grow up with it the way I did. With that in mind, I'm really excited and really interested to see that it seems like there's going to be a much more female-heavy cast in the new seasons, and I'd love to hear what went into those decisions and that process.
はいはいはいはい。まあ男性はみんな女性が好きだからって。
It's all because all boys like girls.
It's a good answer. Yeah. Is that true though, Maki? Is it a female-driven show, seasons 2 and 3?
No.
Or Jason?
Sorry, I'm still laughing at him. For Progressive, it is true that it was sort of right at the beginning among our discussions where, we've already gone through the journey of a young boy going through puberty, and so we knew that it would be cool to flip it, and so let's see what puberty's like from a female perspective, and from there, that germ of an idea, that's sort of what Progressive grew into. Alternative was its own completely different animal, and then maybe Ishikawa has more background on that, but the team from Alternative came up with their leads completely on their own without any influence by anyone. They just said, we want to tell the story of these 4 friends. But I don't know exactly how that came to be.
はい、わかるよ。そうだよ。はい。そうだよ。そうです。その通りだ。
Exactly.
This
That's
is like
what every meeting with him is like.
いやでも
Every time.
いやいや
For years
いや
and years.
いやでも今日見てもらうシーズン2に関してはちゃんと学生がね高校生ハイスクール高校生になってちゃんと3人組の男の子が中心になってるからこれはまた今日これ見たら楽しみにしてくれる。
So, but in terms of main characters, we do have the main character who's a girl, but we also have sort of main characters who are boys too. So it's 3 boys and 1 girl that are going to be the main for this progressive, which is Furikuri 2.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, my name's Stacy. I'm from Chicago, and I am one of the biggest Fully Cooley fans you'll find. First of all, I have to say thank you very, very much for pushing so hard for the series to come back on the air. I truly and utterly relate to Fully Cooley Season 1 on a very deep level. And being able to see it come back and explore it with new fans and old fans means the world to me. Like, I can't even fully express to you in words how deeply happy I am that I'm here right now, that you guys are here right now. And just thank you so much for pushing for it. And my question is, will the episode, when it premieres on Toonami, will it be available on Chromecast?
That is a good question. I think it will be. I mean, the episode is going to my understanding, and this may change because we're still a few months out, my understanding is that it goes up for streaming and download and everything else right after we air it. And Chromecast is one of the places you should be able to watch it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're glad you're here and so passionate. Hi.
Hi, my name is Tucson. Thank you for coming out today.
Shout out to Tucson.
What's up, Jason? I wanted to ask about this new season because the original Fully Cooley is known for so many things. It has an evocative art style, hyperkinetic action, and very, all but times, lewd humor. But the baseline, the thing that I think that resonates with a lot of people who watch it, at least when it did when I first saw it on air, is that it was a coming-of-age story for this kid named Naota and sort of like externalizing adolescence and its craziness outward. So I wanted to ask about, because there's a gap of time between the last season and this season, what are some of the new challenges that this next generation of kids are going to be coming up against compared to the last?
Great question. Kari, maybe you can answer a little bit of that.
Well, while they're talking about it, I can say that there are a lot of references, pop culture references that definitely, when we were recording it the first time around, would not have existed, let alone been relevant. So they're definitely trying to incorporate that. And
いやすごくいい質問でですね、やっぱりその前回はやっぱり子供まだ10歳前後11歳とかだったんで、今回やっぱり17歳ぐらいにやっぱ年齢上げて、そこすごくポイントで揉めてたところで、やっぱり前回のようにやっぱりこう小学校のね5、6千年扱うかっていうのすごい難しくて、特に今時代がどんどん進化しちゃってるから、だからそういう面では高校生として大人と子供の中間子供がちょうど大人になるところ、そこをポイントとして今回作るっていうのはその肝なんで、これはスタッフもねこの答えを言っちゃいけないって言われたんで、これ見てほしいって。
So you'll probably see it in, when you watch this the episode, the first episode. But the original Furikuri deals with Naota, who is still 10, 11, very young. But for this one, most of the main characters are high school students. So the coming of age that a 10-year-old, 11-year-old boy goes through is very different from the same of a high school girl. So yeah, you will see the difference, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that as well.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Franklin. I'm from Chicago, and I was kind of wondering, because it's set in a sort of high school-like era, how much of your own personal experience do you expect to impart into these new seasons?
Well, Haruko's an alien, and I know I felt like an alien in high school. I still do sometimes. So, at least from my standpoint, there's just always that concept of trying to make sense of things and find your place in the world or in the show as it is.
やっぱりそのアニメーションを作ってる人たちってすごい純愛、すごくピュアな異性に関して、これは男の子女の子でもあってるんです。そのピュアなところをやっぱり高校生になってもそのピュアだっていうところをやっぱりスタッフがそれをそのまま伝えたくて、でもこの作品にもそれはつながってると思います。
So most of our animators are very shy, and they tend to experience more of a pure love compared to, the high school students or adolescents that are not working in the anime industry. I mean, like, it may sound a little bit prejudiced, but so their personal experiences in the animators and the storyboard artists, they are very, very much incorporated in this animation.
でもハルコは違いますけど。
Except for Haruko.
Thank you. Jason, you are hearing like the passion coming from people out here, and you obviously held that same passion for Fooly Cooly. What was it that made the show? What made you connect to the original?
I mean, I think the same thing that for a lot of the people in the audience did. I just think, though it doesn't have a necessarily easy to figure out story or a very easily laid out story, it's not very linear. It still touches on a bunch of really important themes that sort of run throughout it that are pretty deep, that kind of are very relatable to anyone who's been a kid and gone through some of the same confusions and feelings that you start having around Naota's age. And then you add on top of that, the character of Haruko and all kinds of interstellar stuff going on and robots and everything else, and there's really nothing not to love. It's sort of a package perfectly designed for someone like me anyway, and hopefully you guys too.
Absolutely. Hi.
Hi, I'm Thomas from Iowa, and I was wondering, one of my favorite things about Fooly Cooly was the fact that it had an almost unfinished quality and aesthetic, given that there were drawings that were unanimated in the show, and I was wondering if you're going to continue this sort of unfinished quality and aesthetic into the new renditions of the show.
It's a good question.
やっぱり今回のフル CG っていうの技術がどんどん進んでるから、やっぱり今回もフル CG のスタッフで作ろうかっていうアイデアも一つあったけど、やっぱりさっき言ったようにドローイング、アニメーターの描いた絵の爆発的なもの、それがやっぱり一番大切だと思って今回それにチャレンジしたし、それを今回もそういうスタッフを全部集めた。
So because the technology has advanced much more than 18 years ago when we made Furikuri, we thought that maybe we had an idea of making this 3D or full CG, but then we realized that people who loved Furikuri, they loved the show because of the hand-drawn, the very 2D style of animation. So we decided to keep that same style for this new season.
音楽がやっぱりすごい大事だからって、だからピローズは絶対欠かせなかったってことなんです。
And then another thing, it's a repeat, is that we knew that how important the pillows was to this show. So the pillows is used for this season as well as the next season.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello, my name is Robert. I am from Chicago. And my question regards the story and animation regarding these new seasons. Since there's been such a big time gap between the first season and these new ones, did the writers and animators ever get any inspiration from previous anime or just animated works that have come out during that time frame to help them out creating the worlds and the characters of Furikuri 2 and 3?
Inspiration for the artists. Yeah, over the last decade and a half.
当然やっぱり旧作で作った1に関してはもうトップクリエイターが全部入って作ったので、やっぱりそれを全部旧作のリスペクトしてみんな作りました。 はいはい。そうですね。確かにその旧作のスタッフが集まって作るってこともできたんだけど、それだとやっぱりこう新しい振りくりができないので、やっぱりそういう面では思い切ってその1回の旧作を壊してまで作れるっていうスタッフの新しいアニメーターが必要だったし、今一番日本で活躍している若い人、それを中心に集めて作りました。
So there is actually so much, in fact, too much respect for the original Furikuri and the original Furikuri creators. So that's one of the very, biggest reasons that we couldn't get the right animators or right creators to be a part of these new seasons. And we decided that it would not be successful if we kept doing the same thing. So we decided that instead of like following what we did in the original Furikuri, we were ready to just forget that and come up with a new group of people who just know what to do to make their favorite shows while having that same respect and memory from the original Furikuri that they love so much. So instead of going with the same creators and the same style of animation, we decided to really explore with a new team of creators.
Thank you.
Hi. All right, and we've got time for 2 more questions. Hi, my name's Kevin. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to scare you.
Kevin!
Thanks for coming out to Chicago, guys. So this is a really cool project that I never thought would exist. So it's really awesome to see, so we really appreciate it. My question was, it was for Jason, but everyone can chime in. What was it like to take on a project that you, for the original, obviously had a huge appreciation for it? How has it been like to balance the whole, this is what I like about the original, how can we do something different? Or in Kari's case, you revisiting this character from a long time ago, but make it something different.
I think that's a great question. That's been the central sort of question for me the entire time. And actually it alludes to what Ishikawa just said, which is it took us a while to sort of all figure out at the same time. And honestly, it was Tsurumaki's piece of advice was, you guys you're trying too hard to stay faithful to the original. You need to, the spirit of Fulikuli is going and doing your own thing, creating your own version of what that is now. And that's your challenge. Your challenge isn't replicating perfectly what I've already done. Your challenge is figuring out how to bring it forward and make it its own thing. And that was something that we all of us, everybody on the show had to sort of slowly come around to. And for me, it was a revelation. It was, oh yeah, I mean, I am an anime fan and a Fulikuli fan, and I was, I think, very worried about doing justice to the original to the point where there was almost no air left in the room for new stuff. And so for me, it was definitely a revelation, and I know that for the show unit it was as well, but I'll let them answer that.
I mean, sequels and spin-offs are always very, very difficult, especially when the original one have so many followers and fans. So when we decided to do these new seasons, we were thinking, well, should we go with the same creators? Should we go with the same style? But if you think about it, it's been 18 years since the original. If the industry is changing, the market is changing, the audience is changing, so we have to change too. We have to evolve. So rather than sticking with the original creators and trying to mimic what we did on the original Furikuri, we decided that now we need to change, because even if we kept the same style, same story, same whatever, it's not going to be the same anymore because everything else around us are changing.
I really agree with everything that they're saying, that there does seem to be such a nod to the spirit of the original series while also pushing into trying some new things. And it's not trying to look exactly the same. It's not trying to do exactly the same things, but you feel the same kind of vibe, or at least I do going into the studio. It's wild because, as I was saying earlier, you never know what's going to happen next in the scenes, but in another way, it felt like putting on a really old, comfortable sweater that I hadn't worn in a long time. Like, we got into the booth and literally, I mean, I know I got a little emotional that first day of recording because so much time has passed, and that character has meant so much to me and so much to a lot of people. And it's when you do something that is so important to someone's past, and people come up to you at conventions and they tell you what this character has meant to them, there's a lot of pressure. Like, I haven't been as scared to go back to a role in probably ever. I think this is the most scared that I've been to do a role, but it's also the most excited I've been too, because far and away, Haruko, people are touched by her, and I go to these conventions and meet people, and just as recently as earlier today, people are saying this show really meant something to me, this character meant something to me, and the spirit of that, I think, is so present in the sequels, and clearly in the heart of everybody that's working on it, on every creative level. So there is a lot of love being put into this project, and one other thing is that with anime, we usually are on such a, well, I know we're talking about the deadline and being behind schedule, but with the first series, they took a lot of time with the recording of it. Usually we record super fast in anime, and they took a lot of time with that dub, and they're taking a lot of time with this one too, to really make sure that they can put out the best sequels that they can.
I mean, it's obvious you guys have such a huge appreciation for your audience and the fans, and you actually brought something here, Jason, if you want to introduce.
Sure. Would you guys like to be the first audience in the world to see the first episode of Fooly Cooly Progressive? I was hoping you'd say that. So why don't let's just go ahead and show it to them. What do you think?
Why don't we play it? You guys excited? Are you excited?